What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So look, y'all, the other day I'm talking to my boy Melvin, and we discussing how we were discussing the legacies of Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. compared to the legacy of Pac, right? And so he was telling me, and he always told me this when we were roommates in college, how he never really grew up on Big's music like that. His aunties, his uncles, his mama, his cousins, they were playing Pac. They were not playing Big. And when I come to think about it, I'm like, Chicago was more of a Pac city. I heard people playing Pac way more. Pac music was on the radio a lot more. You would hear it on coming from people's cars more than Biggs. At functions, you would hear Pac playing much more than Biggs. And I'm like, yo, what is that? You know, I got put on the Big because my late brother, God rest his soul, my brother Michael J. Mike, he loved Big. Big was his favorite rapper. So I would be in the room with him. I would be, in the car with him, and he would always put on Big. And so I became a Big fan because of my brother always playing his music, right? And so I'm gonna say this. I think Pac is more celebrated to me. Like I would say this is my opinion. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like Big gets celebrated like a king and a true icon on the East Coast, right? Pac gets celebrated like a king on the West Coast, but everywhere he gets celebrated like a king for real. When people bring up Pac, they talk about him individually. I feel like when people start bringing up Big, they get to bringing up Pac along with him. You know what I mean? And Big was a phenomenal rapper with dope flows, excellent delivery, great voice, lyricism beyond his time. Like he was a lyricist that was before his time for real. Stuff was Big saying you can say right now and it still be flying clever. He wasn't hitting you with them little Dr. Seuss rhymes or uh, he wasn't rapping like, 1981, I'm going to the store. I'm going to get some more. He wasn't rapping like that. He was rapping for real. And my jam knocks in your Mitsubishi. Girls pee-pee when they see me. Navajos creep me in they TP. Come on. Like that was fly. Even the certain flows he had. B.I.G, P.O, P.P.A, no info. For the DEA. Federal agents mad because I'm flagrant. Tap myself and my phone in the basement. My team supreme. Like listen. Y'all finna get me going, right? Big Papa had a smooth flow. But for whatever reason, I feel like Pac is more revered universally to me. Like, and I think it has something to do with the fact that Pac stood for more than just entertainment. And that is what makes a person's legacy. When we think about iconic sports figures, Muhammad Ali, for the great things that he did as a heavyweight boxer, had some of the fastest hands we've ever seen for a heavyweight. He is really, people are enamored with him because of the humanitarian he was, how he stood up for black folks, how he was a man of the people, how he embraced the public, how he always lended his voice to issues that was ailing the community. Pac did a similar thing. Now, he didn't give up everything. He didn't give up his livelihood like Muhammad Ali did, right? But he made songs for black women, for black men, for black people in general. He spoke about issues our community was facing. In his interviews, he talked about the things that were affecting him and how it was on his brain and his mind about kids dying. I remember when he was in jail and he was sitting in front of that poster of Robert Sandifer, aka Yummy, a young member of the Black Disciple Street Gang who was gunned down allegedly at the orders of his own gang members, of his own brothers in his own gang, right? And so, and Yummy was about 11 when he was killed. And Pac was speaking about these different things. He was talking about poverty in our communities and drugs in our communities and, all these different things. And that's what made him a champion of the people, so much so that scholars talk about Pac in ways you don't hear them talk about Big. Because as dope as a rapper that Big was, as dope of a rapper he was, Big never really stood. He never stood for nothing outside of like being financially wealthy and taking care of his people. Which, okay, you take care of your folks, always self-preservation, take care of you and your people. But in his music, he never talked about things that were conscious. He never talked about, his love for black folks. He never he was smooth, he was cool, but Big Papa always talked about how fly he was, how much money he got, how many girls he had, you know, define stuff he was eating that other people wasn't on, and you know, going to lavish parties and wearing Coogee and being up on the latest trends, and how dudes was trying to get to his level and how he was the best rapper around. Pac talked about those things as well. He talked about women and exploits with women and fun times and looking fly and being the dopest rapper around, and how dudes can't mess with him. But he told street tales, but he also told about, again, teenage pregnancy. He talked about black women being single mothers struggling, how black women are disrespected. He talked about the plight of the black man and the hardships that we go through. He talked about things that black babies, traumas that face them, and kids being, we got money for wars but can't feed the poor, right? He made songs like Changes, Keep Your Head Up, Dear Mama. He made songs like Brenda's Got a Baby, songs that are still, like, they're still relevant to this day. They still stop and make people think. They still, you know, you like, man, these songs still hit hard. And he was mixing the social, he was mixing the entertainment part of his lifestyle and the bravado with also socially conscious messages on albums, you know, and he would talk about flash and flare in songs and street bravado. But then in interviews, when you do sit downs with him, he was speaking about black folks, the state of black America all the time, majority of the time. And I think that is what drove, well, I'm gonna say this, in Death Row time, he started to get a little off kilter at times, and I'm gonna speak about that in another video, right? Because my boy Melvin just watched Juice for the first time, and he felt like if he would have seen that movie as a kid, it would have made him not like Pac, because Pac was such a dark, vile character in that movie. And I agree. I'm glad that I saw Juice at a younger age, to where I was able to see other images of Pac, so I wouldn't be like, yo, this is crazy, because that movie, the way how vile and how the way he played that role, it was dark. But yeah, man, I think Pac's ability to speak to black folks, it has immortalized him within the community in ways that Big hasn't. Big is, I mean, he is a icon, a rap god with a lowercase g, of course, rap god. But I feel like Pac is immortalized in a different way than Big. Now, East Coast people, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, because I know he is the king in the East Coast. But it feels like Pac was always king everywhere across the globe. Maybe outside of New York, you know what I'm saying? Because they're going to put Big Papa always first, as they should. That's their hometown. That's they do. But yeah, like I always said, I feel like I feel like Pac got a different type of love than Big did. And again, Pac's personality comes into play. It comes into play that he was raised by Black Panthers. You know, so he had a different type of militant mindset that Big was not raised up with. Considering the fact, what is mom, Jamaican or something like that, right? You know, he didn't have that same type of rhetoric probably preached to him in his household. A lot of immigrants, whether they be black or whatever, they kind of, especially coming up, a lot of them steered their children away from black militant ideologies because, hey, we lucky to be here. We're lucky to be here in this country. You don't want to stand out talking crazy and taking these crazy stances. I'm not saying Big was like this, but a lot of black immigrants, hey, we don't want to be looked at as troublemakers here. We glad that we here and we've, got a better situation. You don't want to say things that could make you the enemy here. You kind of want to assimilate. And I'm not saying Big assimilated, but he never used his voice to uplift black folks in the way that Pac did. You know what I mean? He made songs for us to party to jam to, that we love. He made hits. He made songs that are timeless, classic records. Storytelling impeccable. Big was a true lyricist. You hear me? Invisible Bullies like the Gooch. Like, talking about the Gooch. Like, bro, like I don't know, man. That was fire, especially during that time period. But it just, he never had, he never he wasn't militant like Pac was at times. And the black folks, the core of black people, a lot of us appreciate militant stuff. We appreciate when you speak to us. We appreciate when you try to galvanize us, because we have been a trampled on people. We've been an oppressed group of people. So when a person talks about stuff like uplifting black folks and all the struggles that we go through, we gravitate to that. We gravitate to that in a way that, we can't forget. And Pac represented the people versus the establishment. It's the argument I was making about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Drake represents the establishment. Black folks have culturally been anti-establishment. Pac never represented the establishment. He always represented black folks. Big represented the establishment as far as like, not really the establishment, but he talked about just flashy fly stuff when you make it and you get big and you get on, how you leaving behind all the broke stuff, and how you eating caviar and drinking champagne and putting 5 carats in a baby girl ear. Pac talked about that too, but at the same time, he tried to stay connected to black folks who were not, he tried to stay connected to black folks who were not well off. He didn't speak like he was above the fray. He spoke like he was of the fray. And I think that pulls on the heartstrings of black folks and black America in a different way, man. So that's why I think that Pac is more universally looked at and beloved more than Big is. This is crazy. I'm 31. A lot of kids in my age range, they don't know Big songs like that. In Chicago, at least, they don't. They know Pac stuff. Now, they don't know it all the way through and through, but they know a lot of the hit songs. People in Chicago that's 31, a lot of them don't even know big hit records. They can't rap Juicy with you. They can't rap One More Chance with you. They can't rap his verse on More Money, More Problems. They can't rap I'm trying to think of some hit songs, Hypnotize. They can't rap none of these them hit records. I can, because my brother put me on, but they can rap a lot of the hit Hail Mary and stuff from Pac.